Okay, and welcome back to AI and Intelligent Automation Live. Our next session is entitled Elevating Humans by Automating Intelligently. I'm just going to introduce a little bit about this session, but before I do, I want to remind everyone to ask questions. This should be an interactive experience. We have some of the world's leading experts on AI and intelligent automation at this conference, so don't forget to ask questions in the Q&A box. You know, the benefit of virtual conferences is that you don't have to stand up in front of a room full of people to really get the most out of this experience. So a little bit about this session. In the post-regulatory era, FIs are making up for lost time by designing new strategies and business process to drive crisp customer experiences through intelligent automation. We're looking at design thinking, and that's leveraging the best of human ingenuity, supported by strategic and technology insights to break through legacy business challenges, to drive innovations and efficiencies by automating intelligently for the new digital economy, rather than just automating for automation's sake. So this session, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a panel discussion featuring industry experts sharing their experience with taking the next frontier. Just to introduce the moderator, our moderator will be our chairman, Andy Gillard. Andy is partner in EY's APAC advisory business, leading the firm's cross-sector intelligent automation solution across the region. As I mentioned before, he's led over 40 process automation and re-engineering programs, and with clients across a wide range of sectors, including financial services, aviation, health, and legal. He's also engaged with a number of governments in the region discussing the impact of intelligent automation on macroeconomic policy and the future of work. So I'm going to hand over to Andy, who's going to start off the panel discussion with his colleagues.
Hi, thanks very much, Ali. Hi everyone. For those of you that were on the session earlier today, welcome and welcome back. With me today on the panel, I'm delighted to introduce two senior individuals, Dr. C.K. Chen and also David Chen. So, Dr. Chen, it'd be great if you briefly introduce yourself before we get stuck in, followed by you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm Chen. I currently retail banking wealth management for Asia Pacific, HSBC. I've been with HSBC for 28 years and in Canada and also in Hong Kong recently. The last 11 years, I look after Asia Pacific. So very happy to join the webinar and looking forward to the questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen. And David, a brief intro from you before we get stuck in.
Sure, thanks, Andy. My name is David Chen. So I'm a partner out of Hong Kong, EY, responsible for our intelligent automation campaign. So I've been leading this campaign for a while now, and it's definitely something that's gaining a lot of momentum in the industry. So look forward to chatting with you all today on this.
Great, thanks, David. So we've got a few slides up to support the questions, and we're going to be, as well as talking to Dr. Chen and also David, we've got a few poll questions, so be prepared from those. So, you know, as you'll hear, you've already heard today in the earlier session on you'll hear multiple times throughout the rest of today and beyond today in this event, the criticality of the interactions between humans and technology, and the human-centered approach to all automation initiatives is absolutely critical. And I love the power of the simplicity. And this slide, and then we'll flip to another slide in a second, kind of sums it up really. So, you know, a small supermarket chain, convenience store chain, basically had self-service checkouts installed them, didn't really think around the interaction between the customers and their self-service checkouts, and basically the queues for the attended checkouts just went through the roof. So if you turn to the next slide. Yeah, so with some changes, and you see this in many stores around the world, we've got self-service checkouts. Just by thinking more carefully around the interaction between customers, humans, and sort of technology, and sort of making sure there's still we would call it human in the loop at sort of EY, to kind of make sure that there's a great experience whilst increasing efficiency. If we turn to the next slide, please. So this kind of sums up, before we sort of get, ask the panelists for their thoughts, this kind of sums up the global EY point of view around what intelligently automating actually means. And you'll see on the right-hand side, and arguably it should be actually the first bullet, but the sort of fourth bullet, it mentions people and the sort of criticality of thinking around the organizational change management impacts of greater automation, and as I've touched upon, how critical the interaction between humans and sort of technology is, is to deliver, to ultimately deliver your strategy and your business case. So Dr. Chen, I would love you to sort of start the panel today, just kind of sharing your view on what intelligent automation is, and just kind of a sort of a summary of how you're starting to use it across HSBC.
Yeah, sure, Andy. I think from our perspective, right, intelligent automation is really making sure that when we automate, we don't actually just automate just the technology part, but include the human side of it. In many cases, we saw a lot of front-end automation where a customer can have a very slick journey. And unfortunately, the back-end strict processing hasn't been looked after, so we create a lot of problems at the back office. So going forward, I think in all design, using design thinking, definitely we have to embody that human element in order to automate. So I think that is what I believe is intelligent automation, not just pure automation itself.
Fantastic. And could you give, to the extent to which you're kind of comfortable, obviously, the sort of share some specific examples of where you're deploying it in retail banking and wealth management?
Well, I can share a very recent example in one of our teams in China, who actually are responsible for searching checks. When customer asks for, if I want to look at checks that I wrote maybe 6 months ago with amount, and it's very difficult for them to search, right? Because these are very not a structured way of storing, but they easily create a OCR approach of the optical character reader. But then using the OCR technology combined with the human inspection, they can very quickly devise a solution. So if it's purely automation, probably they go to the nth degree to automate everything from OCR, which may take longer, and also the accuracy will never approach 100%. But what they did is they combined let's say 80%, 60% accuracy of the OCR, the recognition rate, but with some human inspection that achieve it in almost like minutes, they can search a check. So I think that is a very good example of including the human element when we automate.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example. Thanks, Dr. Chen. And David, sort of over to you. Just sort of share, your perspectives informed by your role in Hong Kong, where you're seeing sort of clients starting to deploy intelligent automation solutions.
Yeah, so we're seeing it a lot across different parts of the value chain, from finance reporting, invoice collection, to even on the servicing side, right? Customer servicing side, we're seeing a lot of traction in that space. And yeah, definitely agree with Dr. Chen. It's very focused, intelligent automation around the human aspect. Internally within EY, we've built around 1,000 bots or so, and that includes even chatbot for interacting with our employees. So there's a whole spectrum of use cases that we're seeing there.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks both. So on to a polling question now. If we could turn to the next slide, please. Okay, so we'd like those of you who are joining us today just to kind of share what aspects of intelligent automation are currently in use in your organisation, and that can be really early stage as well as sort of scale deployment. So there are 5 responses. You can see this on the slide. So predictive analytics, artificial intelligence and machine learning, chatbots, virtual assistants, robotic process automation, or other. And if you could, in your response, you could include a bit of detail, and that will help us. So if we could commence a polling, that would be great, please. So we'll just let it run for a few minutes, or a minute rather. And Sally, if there's anything we should be sort of doing to make sure we sort of capture the poll results, that would be great. Otherwise, assuming it's just running. Okay, share at the end. Okay, so we're actually going to share those towards the end of the session. Thank you very much to Sally. So clearly, well, informed by the sort of the results at the end, which we'll kind of talk to, we will see a whole plethora of technologies being deployed, and what I'm sure we'll see sort of at the end, and we'll talk about it, and with Q&A, we'll understand the extent to which we're looking at sort of innovation, sort of experimentation in a sort of sandbox environment through to kind of larger sort of scale deployment. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So if we could go on to the next topic for you, Dr. Chen, and you, David, around some of the challenges around achieving the promise of intelligent automation. I'm sure those of you that are participating today follow social media, look on sort of search engines, and it's almost relentless. Almost every day there's probably 50 to 100 articles on various components of intelligent automation. Some with some great use cases, and sometimes kind of their sort of the sort of use cases don't sort of fully get into sort of some of the complexity, and also some of the challenges. For example, with sort of robotics, the challenge of kind of successfully scale is something that's been in the press at sort of various points over the sort of past sort of 6 months or so. Yet we're seeing more and more organisations successfully deploy at sort of significant scale. So maybe, David, if I start with you this one, with this one before Dr. Chen, is what do you think some of the sort of key challenges are to achieving the promise of intelligent automation?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when we talk to our clients, the biggest challenge that they face in deploying intelligent automation is on culture, and is on corporate culture, and it's a big change, right? Producing these bots and having employees accept them, and people get nervous about their own roles, and about their own job safety. So that part of it is a big aspect. So a lot of times when we go in there and work with clients, definitely the change management aspect is a huge thing. And that's the first thing that we actually start off looking at, including, overall employee customer journey before we actually even decide on the technology aspect of this.
And how, David, with some of the kind of partnerships that you're kind of leading on, how critical do you think it is for humans to be sort of the people that ultimately are going to be managing or operating parts of the process that aren't automated, to be actually involved in the design of a new process?
Yeah, very, very, very much so. I mean, humans have to be involved in the design, and that the outcome of the bot and what it's supposed to achieve, people have to be, aware of that, right? And they have to know the outcome. And the bots won't solve everything. So that's why humans need to be involved now in understanding what are the exception cases that needs to be covered off as well, right? And what's the impact to their jobs, and what opportunities there are for them as well, right? Once these bots go into production.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, David. Dr. Chen, your thoughts. What do you think some of the key challenges are to achieving what is a significant promise of intelligent automation?
Yeah, Andy, I agree with David of all the other challenges we are facing. I think from my perspective is that there has to be a very good understanding of the legacy systems for organization of our heritage. And there's a lot of system computation, interaction, interfacing. On top of that, definitely is a human element. Sometimes automation has been oversold in terms of the headcount saving from the number of operations people. But I think we should de-emphasize that. We should emphasize the ability of automating the low-end routine mundane jobs and move the people to a higher value chain of the human process. Example is that if you implement chatbot, initially will be purely automated responses, but very soon customer will ask more complicated questions. So the questions will then automatically link in the call center agent to interact with customer in a human-based manner, and then pass back to the machine chatbot to continue the rest of the discussion. So imagine then our call center agent will move up the skill level to be answering those more wealth-related questions than just purely answering balances and queries. I mean, that is the way we should see it. And I think once we pitch it as a service improvement overall to customers and to our own staff, I think the reception will be much different, and the resistance will be moved, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic, Dr. Chen. And I mean, in there was sort of response, which I personally can sort of completely sort of agree with your views. Looking forward, and I know that sort of HSBC in its relatively recent strategy update, which is publicly available, made some fantastic points around skills of the future, based on a number of things, including kind of scale deployment of intelligent automation. That the HSBC organization globally is really thinking around strategic learning and development initiatives and stuff. You've got any of your own views to share on that specifically? It was great to see last month in the press.
I think that is what we call Technology 2020. We have published 10 specific areas that we will focus from HSBC technology to help the bank transform. And we're undergoing major transformation, as you probably know. And that's moving to our target state. It's not an easy journey, but we just have to do it. So it's all in the public domain, the Technology 2020, the area that we should focus on. And I think high focus on automation and true automation, not just partial automation, really automated, so that we remove paper, remove a lot of manual process. And as I said earlier, right, moving our staff to be really assisting customers for more complex activities.
Okay, fantastic, David. So yeah, so those of you, it's definitely worth a sort of a really exciting stuff to support significant growth across many parts of the HSBC business, and reinforces the need for sort of a human-centric approach, so human in the loop. Okay, we are going to thank you both. We are going to go on to the next polling topic. So aligned to what we've just been discussing, we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you see as your organisation's biggest intelligent automation challenges, and please select as many as are applicable. So first one is corporate culture and we've sort of, what we've just been discussing is sort of focused on that, and the sort of, people resistance to change, and maybe we often use the phrase automation anxiety, so maybe it's that. The second one, which Dr. Chen touched upon, is the challenge of working with legacy systems. Many organisations have got a lot of legacy systems that are sort of very difficult to sort of evolve with sort of technical stack. Third one, gaining senior management sort of buy-in. Do they understand intelligent automation? Do they understand the value? And in terms of kind of significant scale programs, we certainly at EY we've seen a challenge there and often been asked to help. Demonstrating return on investment. Getting your hands on either internally, hiring from the external market, or working with a partner or partners, get access to the kind of talent. There's quite a lot in the press around that, or other. So we'll let you respond for about a minute, and then we'll see what the results look like. So please, if everyone could respond. Thank you. Okay, we're just going to double check to see how many people have responded. So there we go. Okay, so we'd love to get Dr. Chen and David your sort of thoughts. So pretty even spread, and it's actually it's great that there's only 1%, because it means that there's sort of five ones above it are kind of hitting the mark. So the big ones are demonstrating return on investments at the top 3, working with legacy systems, and actually we've got a joint third, which is people and talent shortage, and sort of the sort of corporate culture. So Dr. Chen, why don't I sort of get your thoughts? Is this what you'd expect to see? Is this kind of aligned with kind of some of the, I guess, focus areas of HSBC?
Yeah, I think this reflects quite well what we think are the key challenges. In fact, the ROI is definitely how we do the business case. So before the business case is put forth, we just have to make sure that it's a sound investment. Although we said we don't preach on the headcount saving, but eventually the financial need to work out, right? So I think the work shows that the ROI definitely comes first, so that there is an incentive to invest. And once we have done that, then definitely the culture, the human aspect, the way the staff and maybe customer perceive this change will mean to them, and then the support will come, right? And this is normally involve a number of changes, and it's a business transformation process. So the human aspect, the people that can do change, can actually influence change, will be critical to have a successful implementation. I think it's very much aligned with the thinking. Yeah.
Fantastic, thanks, Dr. Chen. And so, David, your thoughts? Is that what you're seeing with some of the partnerships we have in the region?
Yeah. I mean, gaining senior management buy-in has never, been an issue around this. It's a really hot topic, and leadership definitely usually agrees with this. Around demonstrating ROI, we've seen cases where it's a challenge when when clients look at just buying it and focus on the technology first, rather than looking at very specific processes, because not everything should be automated as well. Not everything can be automated at this current time. So our approach to that is usually looking at it from a process perspective, and really doing a proper assessment, and then doing a business case around that. before then identifying, a bunch of processes that you should then move forward with. But where we see in demonstrating ROI as an issue is when you take a very blanket approach to this rather than looking at it from a specific process.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. So, great points both, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next section. If we could move to the next slide and drop the and drop the poll results, thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Have we got screen freeze?
Yeah, I think we've got a screen freeze.
Okay, well let's while we're sort of sorting out that sort of screen freeze, what we are going to do is we had a technical challenge with the first poll question. What aspects of intelligent automation are currently in use in your organization? So we are just going to relaunch that. So you should see it up on the screen now. So we'll just spend a minute getting your responses. Apologies for the technology. Keeping humans involved is obviously critical. So again, sort of predictive analytics, AI, and by there we sort of mean sort of really sort of high-end deep learning stuff, machine learning, chatbots, virtual assistants, RPA, and others. So we'll just give it about another sort of 25 seconds or so, and then with Dr. Chen and David, we'll spend a few minutes talking through them. And then sort of while we're sort of talking there, if you could sort of start thinking around Q&A for David and Dr. Chen once we have the sort of privilege of their time, and we'll spend a few minutes, up to about 10 minutes, going through those. So we're just checking we've got responses. So if we could, here we go. Okay, so they're in. Thank you very much for those who sort of voted. So just sort of briefly, again, similar to the previous poll question, sort of other sort of very low, which kind of means we're kind of focusing on the key components. Top one is robotics, and given the kind of increasing maturity of that technology and some of the sort of large and increasingly large deployments sort of around the world, that's kind of no surprise. Predictive analytics, again, sort of, it's been around for a while, and how advanced your sort of prediction techniques is we'll see some sort of variation there. And then some machine learning and sort of chatbots, and last unsurprisingly, kind of true higher order AI is pretty low, but clearly moving quickly in some sectors and some geographies. So David, I'll go to you first this time. Kind of, thoughts on this? Is this what you would expect to see?
Yeah, this is what I'll expect to see. Definitely around standard process automation. We're seeing a lot of that on processes that are well defined, that doesn't require judgment. And then when you look at more of the judgment type processes, then a lot of our clients are starting to look at that, but still very much in its infancy. Predictive analysis, yes, that's another really hot topic that we see a lot, like on next best action, looking at unstructured data, and then coming back with leads and campaigns to push out to customers. So we're definitely seeing a lot of that, and I think machine learning is still in its infancy, though it is gaining traction. And I think a lot of our clients now are looking at a technology solutions that can handle multiple aspects of this from RPA, including machine learning perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And that sort of your last point there, David, sort of touches upon, the sort of increasing sort of convergence of some of the technologies we're talking about. And, some of the leading RPA vendors, as you know, as well as I do, are sort of starting to inbuild sort of machine learning and sort of chatbot sort of capabilities as well. Dr. Chen, your thoughts? Is this what you would expect to see?
Yeah, I think specifically on the RPA, where there are a lot of automation at the back office. As you know, we still have a very large team of back office staff doing a lot of keying. So that definitely is the area being more mature in terms of applying robotics at the back office. As I mentioned earlier, right, if our system is designed to be more straight-through processing, STP, we probably can reduce it. At the moment, as we have so much legacy, RPA is still the main area where we can significantly gain some benefit from automation. And we are also doing a lot of things on chatbots, particularly in China and Hong Kong and UK. Our concern is really sometimes this technology we cannot roll out fast enough for all the markets that we operate. So our focus is always on the main markets or the key markets that we operate in. Hong Kong and UK primarily our home market. We definitely will see a lot of these applied first before we roll out to the rest of our other countries. But I agree this is really the RPA, the chatbots, the virtual assistant, which actually can help improve our customer service for customer-facing applications. Machine learning, and I agree with David, is still need to pick up in the right application. So predictive analysis, we do a lot of this in digital marketing. But I guess the most impactful to the organization is the RPA, reducing the back office manual intensive work as far as we can, while we are transforming our systems at this point in time. So this needs to be carried out in parallel. Otherwise, we keep adding people. It's not going to be sustainable. Yeah.
Fantastic, Dr. Chen. So some great points in there, and really useful insight into HSBC's automation sort of initiatives. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Chen, thank you, David. So we are now into sort of Q&A. So we have 10 minutes for sort of Q&A. So I have got a number of questions. So thank you for those of you that have asked. Thank you very much. Here we go. So, okay, so the first one, if I may, I'll get sort of Dr. Chen and you to kind of give your views and what about you, David? So James has asked, so to what extent is working with startups, given the fairly onerous requirements of large enterprises in terms of sort of procurement process and stuff, a significant obstacle to sort of delivering on part of your intelligent automation initiative? Dr. Chen, what's your perspective from an HSBC lens?
Yeah, and in terms of working with startup, I think most people come at HSBC, we are a complex organization to navigate, but we did try to help with startups, right? We come up with a more simplified version for procurement to validate the startup's background in terms of their financial capability and the other things. But I think there's still work to be done. What we are aiming for is one of the Technology 2020 objectives is to create a platform where startups can easily connect their functionality without jeopardizing the full extent of all our services, and in a very sandbox environment, and that will probably reduce the complexity required or the requirements of validating its startup, if you can confine it to a very well-defined set of customer or staff that the startup service is going to provide as a very small pilot. So we need to make the pilot and proof of concept easier to be engaged. I mean, that is our focus for now. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Dr. Chen. Thank you. Great to hear that sort of, it's, HSBC is increasingly working up with all the sort of organisations that work with some great startups. I think some of those have sort of been in the press over the sort of last few months. That's great. And actually, sort of David, rather than you asking me the sort of same question, I'm gonna ask one from someone who hasn't left their name. So clearly in intelligent automation, sort of headcount savings, is a feature of business case and sort of productivity and efficiency. So what are your views on other elements of automation in business cases, things like customer experience and sort of improving control? What would you say are other key value components?
Yeah. So a lot of times when we talk to clients, actually the headcount saving isn't the only thing that gets the business case approved. There's a lot of different aspects, and one key thing is around audit trail and being able to retain knowledge within the organization. So a lot of the use cases for RPA is for very specific processes that are routine. So a lot of times, there's a lot of high attrition with the people actually running those processes manually. So being able to actually retain that knowledge within the firewall of your organization, is one key aspect. And having audit trail. So if a human goes on a spreadsheet and enters value and do things, then that's not really captured. But having an audit trail and having that is something that's very important to our client. And the other thing is around throughput. So I think a lot of times our people misunderstand that one bot equals one person, but that's not actually the case. You can actually have many processes fit into the bot because the bot itself is more effective, efficient, and it runs 24/7. So that's another reason that people want to use RPA.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, David. Just getting myself off mute. So, a question for you, Dr. Chen, is you spoke about some of the particular technologies that HSBC focused on, sort of chatbots, virtual assistants, and RPA were two examples. To what extent with automation technologies is HSBC developing some of the tools we're talking about today in-house versus third-party vendor tools? Do you skew towards one way or the other, or does it just depend on the particular technology that you're looking at?
Thanks, Andy, for the question. I think it's in our case, we try to use the best of the industry. In China, we use a company to help us support our chatbot. So it's really using third party. And in Hong Kong, Hang Seng Bank, as you know, we use IBM Watson for the chatbot. So we will definitely not confine to our own development, which, as you know, HSBC used to develop all the software ourselves. But the last 20 years, this is not the best way to using our people, right? So that is why we have been engaged in all this startup discussion. We were in the RISE conference last week, and really try to pick the best out of the industry and be able to then create a better way of integrating the solution into our legacy. And our legacy hopefully will transform in the next 5-10 years into a fully open environment and secure, of course, right, for that to happen. So a simple answer is we are not confining to our self-in-house development. Our self-in-house development should be to the main core business that we believe that we are the best people to develop. Otherwise, we are open to external parties to help us build the best solution.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Chen. That's a great sort of answer, sort of covering all of the sort of key points and considerations, and hopefully valuable for the audience. So, in the interest of time, we are out of time. We're not going to be able to get through almost out of time. We're not going to be able to get through all of the questions, unfortunately. So, so last question, which is for sort of both of you, and I'd like to sort of chip in as well. And given sort of this has been sort of very sort of human sort of focused for a big chunk of the sort of conversation. So, with everything in the sort of press media around AI, and all jobs are going to be automated by sort of bots, or one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum, AI, a world with sort of AI and much higher rate of automation it's just going to be a wonderful place for all of us, where a lot of the sort of tasks that really we prefer not to be doing sort of automated. Our health improves. So, for example, using AI to improve diagnosis of sort of certain health challenges. AI ultimately should, anything intelligent sort of automation overall should clearly improve the quality of life for the majority of people. Or just like your kind of personal views really around sort of looking forward 5, 10, 15 years, and what you think's really, really important to think about. So, David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think there's still going to be a human touch to to a lot of this, right? And I think as we get very excited and move towards the automation journey, I think it's going to actually swing back a little bit in terms of making sure that whatever we put in with AI, that there's always a human interaction component, and that sensitivity is still there. I think if I look ahead 10 to 15 years time, I think that would be the actual swing back towards that. Because what we can see, there'll definitely be more bots. There'll definitely be more AI led initiatives introduction. But I think people will also miss kind of that human interaction actually.
Okay, great, David, thank you. And Dr. Chen, your thoughts?
I can quote the example what we already launched a physical robot in a US branch, right, called Pepper. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And one of the design criteria is that at the end of every interaction with the robot leads to a human, right? It's either the RM coming to meet the customer at the end of the interaction with the robot, or leading the customer to a self-service device the customer can handle. So it's always a human at the end of all this automation that we talk about. And I think it's back to the very classical thing about high touch. So high tech and high touch, right? At the end, high touch will be the way we gain customer confidence, and customer service is really what it ties our customers to our organization. So I believe that automation will help, AI will help to remove a lot of mundane work, but at the end, we still need that human touch to create the bonding with our customers. I think that's for sure. Even in the next 10 years, that will still continue. Yeah.
Fantastic, sort of Dr. Chen, and work if you haven't heard about the sort of physical robot in HSBC branch, sort of check it out and via whichever search engine you use. So that's it. So Dr. Chen, firstly to you, thank you so much for joining. It's great to have such a senior individual from HSBC sort of with us for kind of this session. They're a very, very busy man. So thank you from me and I'm sure all participants. And David, again, I know you've got a lot on the plate, so thank you to you for kind of joining and sharing your perspectives. To So before we wrap up, you can visit sort of the EY booth in the sort of virtual exhibition hall, and also it's worth checking out kind of over the next couple of days because there's been a lot of material, all of sort of presentations, and ultimately you'll be able to watch the sessions that are taking place at this event, so on demand. We're going to be back at 2 o'clock Singapore, Hong Kong time. So I'm going to go to a long break. Session is called Shifting to Artificial Intelligence, the next layer of sort of value. So hopefully you join us for that one. Thank you very much for joining, asking questions, and sort of answering our sort of calls on questions. So much.
Before you go through that, I just wanted to say a couple of things because your audio has just been a little fuzzy in the last couple of questions, Andy. I just want to remind everyone to visit the EY booth in the virtual exhibition hall, where you've got some fantastic collateral. You can find out more about EY and their intelligent automation journey. And we'll, of course, endeavour to answer all the questions that we got during that session, which was loads. So thank you so much, guys, for being interactive and asking your questions of Dr. Chen and of David and of Andy, of course. So yes, as Andy says, we'll be back here. So log in for 2 o'clock Singapore and Hong Kong time for a really fantastic session on shifting to artificial intelligence for the next layer of value. You can also join us now in the chat room or around the virtual exhibition hall to talk more to EY and our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy and Sally for arranging this. Yeah, I appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.